Good morning and welcome to our In Conversation series. I'm Sarah Austin and I'm going to be chatting to Jane Dancaster, who is the Managing Director of Wimbledon School of English, and delighted to be joined by Jane this morning. And this is our In Conversation series where we shine the spotlight on different entrepreneurs or leading experts in their field. And this is where we invite them to tell their story, talk about how they've got to do what they do. Good morning to you, and how are you, Jane?
Good morning, Sarah. Nice to see you. I'm fine, thank you. Hope you are too.
Great to see you. Yeah, very well indeed. Thanks so much. I'm just intrigued at what that is in the background up on your ceiling. Is that a tennis ball I can see?
Well, it's not the ceiling, it's the wall behind me. And as the Wimbledon School of English, and we're based in Wimbledon, we've got a painting on the wall here, or a print of it's a ball on a racket.
Yeah, okay, brilliant, great. So lovely to have that Wimbledon theme, and lovely to have you with us this morning. So and I hope we're going to have a few people joining us. So good morning, Lucinda. Thanks for joining us. I love this series. So for anyone that's watching, this is where we shine the spotlight on you, different members of our network, experts in your field. And what we really like to do is understand more about you, the person behind the business, why you do, what you've learned along the way. Because this is all about how we understand the business and understand the people behind it and the team behind it too. So Jane, no exception. Let's learn about you. And I know you've been with Wimbledon School of English for a long time, but it's interesting to start at the beginning and tell us a bit about you, Jane. Where did it all start? How did your journey get you to where you are today?
Well, Sarah, as you say, I've been in the industry a long time. I've been around for rather a long time, and this is my third time at Wimbledon School of English. So, how did it start? I graduated in 1980, which was. Yep. And I'm sure many of you listening probably weren't even born then, but that was
no, guilty. I am. I most definitely was born at school.
There was a big recession in the UK then, and I had an arts degree, and it was very hard to get a job. So in the end, I ended up traveling, going down to the south of France, selling ice cream, doing sort of odd jobs, and I fell in love with traveling. And so then, having made a large amount of money out of my ice cream selling, I used that to pay for my teacher training to become a TEFL teacher, so that I could continue to travel. And that's how I fell into the industry. So many in our industry do it because they have a love of traveling and a love of language. I mean, most of us have arts degrees, although you do have a few with science degrees, which is good to keep the balance. And then I first came here in 1989. I'd been working abroad and then in a co-op school in London. We ran our own school up in central London, but I had a baby, and that meant I needed to be a bit nearer home. And I applied to Wimbledon School of English, and I got a job as a teacher. And then my career took me to various other places. I've worked here 3 times, as I said, and this time I came back in 99. I was asked to come back in when the then owner principal retired. So I've been here since. So it's flown by. It's
fantastic. But it's really interesting there. And this is what I love about, hearing about people's journeys. And I think why, everybody's journey, everybody's story is different because we're all unique, right? But there are also some really good, I think, things that will resonate with our audience as they're watching us either now or watching later. It's those chapters in your life. So here you are, that that you've got this love of travel, this love of language, but you found what you wanted to do, and you kind of stuck with it, but you have made it fit to you and the person that you have become as you've journeyed through your life. And I feel strongly that people go through chapters. So you close one chapter, you open another, and it's all about fitting the priorities, that suit you then. And so there you were. You had your family and you wanted to be closer to home, so it made sense to find a job that was closer to home. So so thank you for sharing that, because I think again people will understand that journey, and it's that love, that passion for language. I'm a linguist, and I think that passion for travel, that passion for language never leaves you, and to be able to do that in your job, and to be able to do that for the amount of time you've had, but to fit it around your life and your priorities is it must feel very fulfilling. So tell us about the language school, because of course, you know, you've come back, you can't keep away, this is your third go at it, as it were. So it obviously, you know, really means a huge amount to you. So tell us about the language school and, you know, how it sort of fits, because I know, you know, this is Wimbledon School of English, really helped the club. You know, our HQ is in Wimbledon, so we feel a real connection to you know, to lots of businesses in the Wimbledon area, and celebrate the fact we've got such a renowned school you know, on our doorstep. So tell us about the school and what it has to offer.
Yes, so I just want to pick up on something you said about something that fits, because I think that's part of, you know, why I've come back to the school 3 times and why several of our staff as well come back. Because in our industry, in the English language industry, we don't get huge salaries, so you're not in it for the money. And I think we're all in it for the people. I mean, the people that you're working in the industry are wonderful, warm, interesting, creative people. And the students are wonderful as well. Working with so many different nationalities keeps your mind open, always learning about new cultures. But to tell you about WSE, it started in Wimbledon Village in 1964 by Mrs. Marjorie Housden, who noted that there were a lot of au pairs in Wimbledon and they needed English language classes. And so she started teaching au pairs up in the village. And they moved down here in the mid-1970s to where we are now. So we're one of the oldest schools in the UK, as I said, established in 1964, and we've been ranked #1 since 2014 each year, according to our British Council inspection results. We're also very unusual in our industry. We are still just an SMT, a small business. I mean, most of the schools that you know or you see are part of huge global organizations backed by venture capital. So we still care very much about education. We're all about education, customer service, looking after people, making sure they have a great experience here in the UK.
That is so interesting, and again, it sort of picking up on you know, messages that we get from other businesses that we talk to, is that ethos of being true to yourself, your values, and your values really matter, and I'm sure that plays a big role behind why you have, you know, scored top in each of the years since 2014. So congratulations on that. That is you know, that's fantastic. So look, anybody that's joining, it's lovely to have so many people on the call today. If you know Wimbledon School of English, if you know someone who's been there, if you want to know more about it or anything else, please do pop a comment into the chat box. This is not just my opportunity to chat to Jane and learn about the school and hear about her. This is your opportunity too. And we love to hear any testimonials, anyone that's worked with the school or had students stay with them as host families as well. So we'll come on to talk about that in a minute. But tell us a bit about the services, Jane, and what you offer. So if you were you know, if you were watching this from, you know, this gets beamed anywhere. That's a wonderful thing about you know, about doing these lives, is that people will tune in from absolutely anywhere in the world. So if you're watching this, what would you expect from a course at the language school? What's the breadth and depth of the offer?
Well, I think there's 2 things that are misnomers at the industry. First of all, we're not really a school, and secondly, aren't what people consider to be students. So we are a language training organisation, and we work primarily with adults. So, you know, everybody's idea of a student, your typical British student, is not really what our students are. So although we do deal with many different age groups, so in the summer we run special junior summer programs. We have a summer camp at Lord Wandsworth College. Our minimum age year round is 16, but our average age is 26, and about 20% of our students are over 30. The oldest student this year, I can't remember exactly, but he was in his 80s. So we have people of all ages, from all different professions and all walks of life. And we generally work with about 80 different nationalities, slightly down last year. I think it was about 70 because, sorry, not last year, this year. I was thinking, I was in 2023 already, not quite there.
Yes, we're still here. We're still 22. And it's been a tough year, but let's not wish it away just yet. That is.
So COVID has meant our numbers aren't quite back up to normal yet, nor's our nationality mix. But we run a lot of very professional courses. So we have English for law, English for medicine, we do English for pilots. We do a special exam that only pilots and air traffic controllers need to take in order to work worldwide. We run a medical English exam. We do this exam every week, and we run a lot of courses for this exam called OET. If you want to practice in the UK as a doctor, a nurse, a vet, a pharmacist, you need this exam. So a lot of professional courses. So I think it's very different from what people imagine. The other thing is students arrive and every week. So every Monday we have new arrivals. Every Friday we have students leaving. Courses start at 1 week and they go up to 1 year. So it's not a school in any form whatsoever.
Yes.
Specialized training institute.
Yes, fascinating. Gosh, and so, and I guess, I mean, we've touched on this to a degree, but I think it's really worth sort of drilling into this a little bit further. But what do you think, in your opinion, makes WSE, and forgive me if I'm using your acronym, is what makes it different? What makes it unique from other language training centres and around the country?
Well, as I've already mentioned, the people that work in ELT. So we are very lucky here. We have an amazing, very loyal, very dedicated team of staff. And many of our staff have been with us for a very long time. As I mentioned earlier as well, like me, people leave and then come back. So we've got that wonderful longevity of staff. But of course, we also have new staff coming in as well. So a wonderful mix. We have staff who've been here more than 30 years. We've got teachers who've been here for 30 years. We've got one of our staff retired, aged 82. That was our registrar, Barbara. So we've got all ages as well, from staff in their 20s up to staff in their late 60s and early 70s. So that wonderful mixture of people and their loyalty and dedication. And I hope they must love what they do, because they give so much to the students. So that, I think, is our main USP. But we also, everybody here cares very much about providing the best possible service that we can. We also have some amazing teachers in terms of their experience, because we teach these difficult and complex courses. They're highly professional, highly experienced. So they are possibly at a higher level than in many of our competitor organisations. So we teach more complex courses than many of our competitors. And we're in Wimbledon, which is such a fantastic location. Everybody loves it. They talk about how safe it is, how green. They're very surprised when they arrive and they find the great infrastructure that we have, because when they see the tennis on television, they think it's just this tennis centre surrounded by nothing. And then they come and they find this vibrant town centre. And so, yeah, these are our USPs.
Very important. And actually, and so moving on that note, in terms of the joys of Wimbledon and living locally and sort of living in sort of Merton and tangential suburbs, we touched very briefly at the beginning about the accommodation for the students, and I know that you arrange accommodation for students. So tell us a little bit more about it and how you work with local families.
Well, the accommodation is a core part of the student experience. I mean, what we do is a combination of education, hospitality and tourism. So we have a 24-hour interface with our students, and we arrange the accommodation for them. And of course, where they live is of paramount importance, because if that doesn't work, if they're not happy, then nothing else will work. And we have found over the years that the best possible form of accommodation is to stay with a local host family, because that way they learn about UK culture. They have warm, kind people there to help them if they're a bit homesick. Depending on what kind of package they take, most of the time they don't have to worry about shopping and cooking, because the wonderful hosts are doing that for them. So we have this massive team of host families. And many of our hosts are actually children of hosts, or again have been with us for a very, very long time. Before the pandemic, we had about 300. That has dropped. So we're recruiting new hosts, because we understand people's lives have changed since the pandemic. But it is a fantastic experience for everybody, and you can choose it. You don't have to have somebody living with you for a year, and you might not like them. I mean, you can decide when you can take students, what kind of students you want to take, how long for. You can block your time off. You've got the school there to support you the whole time. And it opens, I think, the hosts' lives up as well to new experiences, new cultures. And certainly Many of our hosts stay really good friends with their students. They travel to see them. They go to their weddings and host with children. The children also love this experience of learning about the rest of the world. So all different types of hosts as well. We have hosts who provide breakfast and dinner, hosts who just provide breakfast, hosts who don't provide anything, but the students have access to the kitchen. We're looking for hosts who have ensuite or not ensuite, walking distance, anywhere in the whole area that's about 25 minutes journey. So going into Wandsworth, Earlsfield, Southfields, Merton, you know, it's quite a big reach, but it really is a fulfilling experience. And you've got the school here to support you. And our wonderful accommodation manager, Julie, who is a host herself. She manages the whole process, but because she has students, she really understands as well. So she's looking at it from the host's point of view.
Absolutely. So she walks the walk and talks the talk, which is, I think, you know, incredibly important. And actually, we're going to put our hand up and say that, you know, as a family, we have been a host family for the language school, and absolutely would testify to, you know, to everything that you've just said, Jane. I think it's it's really interesting because it's not an intrusion on your family space. It's an opportunity, because it's, you know, you talked earlier about, it says, you know, access potentially to any one of those sort of 80 different cultures. And so it comes back to that kind of the joy of giving leads to so much receiving as well. So, you know, you welcome someone into your home, and, you know, and you welcome them in as much, you know, as flexibly as you talked about, which I think, again, really works, because you have times in your year when it's super busy and you just don't particularly want to have, you know, an extra person in your house. I mean, you have quiet periods. And so, you know, that extra bit of income, that person in your home is actually really welcome. And I think the opportunity, again, for people with families is so interesting, because, again, it's that exposure, it's that sort of breadth that you are giving them, and you know, sort of opening their eyes to other cultures, other ways of doing things, you know, discovering what other people do, what other people enjoy to eat, what other, you know, what they're interested in. And as you'll quite rightly point out, we've stayed in touch with many of the students who have stayed with us. And now, of course, as my children grow up, now they're getting in touch with them and saying, hey, we're coming to Chile. Can we come and see you? And of course, the answer is yes, you know. And so it's, you know, it's that sort of life going sort of round in circles of looking after one another and welcoming people into your home, into your lives, into your culture. I think is really important. So I think if anyone is, you know, if this is resonating with anyone, or someone you know who you think would enjoy and you know, and benefit from some things that Jane has talked about, and or you're just looking for, you know, another source of income in your household at this point in time, then I'm sure that Jane and her team would love to hear from you. So please, you know, if this is resonating with you or someone you know, please be sure to share that with them. So Jane, so that's the school, the opportunity, the services, everything that you offer. But let's sort of talk a bit about you. You know, I remember, I think we bumped into each other literally about 2 days before we went into lockdown. And, you know, things look pretty tough all around. And so I guess it's, you know, it's very interesting to talk to you as a business owner, because you have, you know, again, gone through, you know, big journey, and obviously you've been with the with Wimbledon School of English for a very long time, and run it very successfully. So I guess, what would you say is, you know, some of the most rewarding aspects of what you do?
Well, I keep going back to the staff, but again, it's the people. Really, it's the people. Of course, success is rewarding. So when we have a school full of very happy students, then we all get a buzz from that. But particularly during the pandemic, this feeling of coming together, we came very much together, all of us here as a team. We checked in with each other the whole time. We had sort of welfare support going, and, you know, weekly drinks and all these things. And there was this absolute feeling that we were all working together as a team. And I think it's the most fulfilling thing, working with everybody here to achieve the success as a team.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, because you were one of those industries that was literally, you know, had your doors closed, and you must have been extremely challenging times. So that test of that team, that test of that sense of, will we get through this, must have been very profound. So
It
I can
was,
see absolutely.
it was awful because we had any of those who are watching who are our hosts, were our hosts during the time, you know that I wrote to you constantly asking for your help, because as an industry we were left out in the cold. We didn't get the rates, rebates, we didn't get the consent. In the end, Merton Council, thank you Merton Council, did give us a grant, but I mean we lost 90% of our business over 2 years, our income, and we didn't think we were going to survive, but we managed to survive and we came through the other side. Many of our friends, such as Milner School of English, didn't survive. So, it really was a very, very tough time for our industry. So, and our staff stuck with us as well. They're still here. We've still got our wonderful, dedicated, experienced staff who were with us before the pandemic.
And congratulations on that. And, and here you are, as you say, bouncing back, almost back to pre-pandemic levels. And I think that is a huge achievement. So here am I, asking you as a business owner, a business manager, what advice would you give to anyone? I mean, I know we've got lots of people watching who run their own businesses, or they're thinking about starting up a business, and people afterwards will be, watching, will be thinking the same. What are some of your tips? What's your advice to anyone who is thinking about starting a business, or is, the sort of early stages, or looking to take their next steps?
Well, I can't speak for all businesses. So I work in education and the service industry. So we're very much a customer facing organization. But I work with teams from other industries as well, various business groups and so on I sit on. And I think the most important thing is the people. So if you look after the people that you work with, then they will give. And you will get loyalty, you will get trust, you'll get all these things I keep talking about. You will be successful. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. It's not always that easy when times are difficult, such as COVID, or now with rising costs, recession, etc., etc. But try and invest in your people, look after your people, make your people feel valued, and then the business will follow.
Very important advice, and especially, as you say, at a time when it's understandable to be very distracted by other things, and keeping your business viable and all those other things as well. But you need to keep your people and keep your team and keep that sense of loyalty. And I think you are a great example of how to do that. So here we are. You've come through the last 2 years, been at Wimbledon School of English for a very long time. If we're sitting down in, say, another 1 to 2 years time, I don't think any of us dare particularly do too much sort of crystal ball gazing these days, and we just sort of try to get through to January and into next year. But what do you think we'll be talking about? If we're looking back in the rearview mirror, say in a 18, 24 months time, what do you think you'll be telling me about Wimbledon School of English? What will you have done? Any other services you can add on? Any other courses you can do, or is it more host families, or what will you look back and go, yep, I did that?
Well, it's a very different environment now from before COVID in our industry, as I said. So I think generally, so before COVID, we had various experiences. We had opened a small school overseas, etc., etc. Yeah, but now it's a time for consolidation. It's a time for digging down and making sure that we really go back to doing what we do as best as we can, so doing well. In a year's time, I'd like to have 300 host families back, and we are expanding some of our courses, different areas we're looking at. I can't really tell everybody what our expansion plans are, because then we keep these things close to our chests until they're out there and happening. So no business can stand still. If you stand still, then you die, basically. You fail as a business. So we're always looking at the areas for development. We tried a few different things during COVID. Some worked, some didn't work. So certainly working with the younger generation, working with juniors is a huge growth area in our industry. Working with groups is a growth area. We tried after school maths and English. That was tricky. It took a lot of time, so we've given up on that. So consolidation, we will be looking to grow, but slowly. We're not going to rush into anything at the moment.
and congratulations on that. And I think very sensible advice all round for many people watching. So, Jane, it's a pleasure to see you. It's been a delight as well to catch up with you post-pandemic and to see you smiling and, you know, and looking to the future again. So I'm, you know, sort of thrilled to hear that, and thrilled that you're looking for more hosts, and you know, and the courses are back there, and we've got, you know, overseas students back in the school and enjoying the courses that you have. So thank you so much for sharing, and love that comment. Thank you so much, Kate. Very interesting. Thank you. And I think you are such a hidden gem. You know, once you know about the language school, you know about it, and you know about, you know, the
on the hidden gem. Actually, there's one thing that I should have mentioned before, which completely because it wasn't part of the conversation about the accommodation and so on. But we also run a very large examination centre in Wimbledon. The London Exam Centre is part of Wimbledon. So many of your listeners, many people listening, might well have taken their exams here. So all those important exams I was talking about, such as the ones for doctors, pilots, the IELTS exam, the ACCA accounts exam, and so on. We run exams 7 days a week, every day, in St George's Road in our computer-based testing centre, and in huge halls all around Wimbledon. So if you need to take an exam, get in touch with us as well. I forgot that bit.
There you go. So directly or indirectly, you may already have come across Wimbledon School of English. So, so thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everybody for watching. We will share this on our IGTV channel, and then we share this across all the other platforms. And if you've enjoyed this, or if you think someone else would like to know about Wimbledon School of English for, you know, any of those reasons that we've talked about, you know, maybe considering becoming one of their host families, then please do share it onward, put them in touch with Jane and her team, and I know that you would love to hear from them. So Jane, thank you so much for sharing your story and give us your time this morning. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been lovely talking to you.
No, you too.
Enjoyed it. So see you soon, Sarah, at the next
Very much indeed. Thank you. And thanks so much to everyone who's joined us. And for the person who's just joined, I'm afraid we've just come to the end. So you need to go straight away and catch up on this on IGTV. And it's been a pleasure. Jane, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, Sarah. Bye, everybody.